Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hub, and let me ask you something that might just change the way you look at your loose change forever. What if the most ordinary coin you've ever held, a simple 5-cent piece, a nickel that most people wouldn't even bother picking up off the ground, was secretly worth more than a luxury penthouse in New York City, more than a private yacht, more than most people will earn in 10 lifetimes combined? What if that tiny, unassuming coin sitting in a jar on your counter, or rattling around in the bottom of an old drawer, or hiding in the cushions of your couch, was actually a ticket to unimaginable wealth? Well, today we are diving deep into one of the most extraordinary, jaw-dropping, mind-bending stories in the entire world of rare coin collecting. And trust me, by the time we're done here, you will never look at a nickel the same way again. We're talking about the 2012 P5-cent coin. A coin so extraordinary, so impossibly rare, so shrouded in mystery and collector obsession, that it has been valued at an absolutely staggering $13 million. Yes, you heard that right. $13 million. For a nickel, a 5-cent coin. And before we go any further, I want you to stay locked in right here, because after we finish uncovering every secret behind this incredible 2012 P nickel, we have another coin coming up that is going to make your jaw drop all over again. I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet, but I will say this. It involves another 5-cent piece, another mint, another era, and another story so unbelievable that collectors around the world have been whispering about it in hushed, reverent tones. So do not go anywhere. Do not touch that back button. You are going to want to hear every single word of what's coming. But first, let's talk about the coin that started it all. The 2012 P5-cent. The year 2012 might not seem particularly special at first glance. It was a year of elections, of Olympics, of pop culture moments and global headlines. But inside the walls of the Philadelphia Mint, denoted by that famous P mint mark, something was happening that most people had absolutely no idea about. The Philadelphia Mint has a history that stretches back to 1792, making it the very first mint established by the United States government, and it carries with it a legacy of precision, pride, and an almost obsessive commitment to quality. But here's the thing about minting coins at an industrial scale. Producing hundreds of millions of coins every single year using massive, high-pressure machinery, complex die systems, and intricate planchet preparation processes, mistakes happen. Rare, extraordinary, life-changing mistakes. And in 2012, one of those mistakes slipped through the cracks of the most sophisticated quality control system in American coinage history. And what emerged on the other side was something that the coin collecting world had never seen before, something that defied expectations, shattered price records, and became the subject of legend almost overnight. Now, let's set the scene properly, because you need to understand what a Jefferson Nickel actually is before you can truly appreciate what makes this particular coin so extraordinarily special. The Jefferson Nickel has been a cornerstone of American coinage since 1938, when it replaced the beloved Buffalo nickel that had captured the imagination of the American public for over 2 decades. Designed by Felix Schlag, whose initials you can find on the coin if you look closely enough, the Jefferson Nickel features a dignified portrait of Thomas Jefferson, founding father, 3rd President of the United States, author of the Declaration of Independence, on the obverse, and his beloved Virginia home, Monticello, on the reverse. It's a coin steeped in American history, in the ideals of democracy and freedom, and in the everyday commerce of a nation. By 2012, billions upon billions of Jefferson Nickels had been produced, circulated, saved, spent, and forgotten. They filled piggy banks and parking meters and vending machines and fountain pools where people tossed them wishing for better days. They were, in every sense of the word, ordinary. And that, my friends, is precisely what makes the 2012 P error so absolutely breathtakingly extraordinary. Because when something goes wrong at the mint, when a die is improperly prepared, When a planchet is struck on the wrong metal, when a coin is double-struck or off-center or missing critical design elements, the result is something that stands completely apart from every other coin in circulation. Something unique, something irreplaceable, something that collectors will move mountains to obtain. And the error that occurred with this particular 2012 P5-cent coin was not just any error. It was a catastrophic, one-of-a-kind, never-before-seen combination of minting anomalies that converged in a perfect storm of numismatic rarity. Experts who examined this coin described it using words like unprecedented and extraordinary and impossible, because the series of errors that had to align simultaneously to produce this coin should have been, statistically speaking, virtually impossible. We're talking about a coin that shows evidence of a dramatic die cap error, where the die itself became encrusted with a previous coin strike and continued to impress that distorted image onto subsequent planchets, combined with a significant off-center strike that displaced the design elements in a way that created a visual composition unlike anything seen before in Jefferson Nickel production. And this is where things get truly unbelievable. Struck on a planchet that appears to have been prepared from a non-standard alloy composition, giving the coin a distinct color, weight, and surface texture that sets it apart from every other nickel ever produced. When the coin was first discovered, and the story of its discovery is itself a remarkable tale, the finder had absolutely no idea what they were holding. It came from a standard roll of nickels, the kind you'd get from a bank, the kind millions of Americans handle every single day without a second thought. The person who found it almost spent it, almost dropped it into a vending machine or handed it over as change at a coffee shop or tossed it into a tip jar without a second glance. But something caught their eye. Something about the way the light hit the surface. Something about the feel of it in their hand. And instead of spending it, they held on to it. They showed it to a friend. The friend showed it to a local coin dealer. The coin dealer's eyes went wide. And from that moment on, the journey of this extraordinary 2012 P5-cent coin became one of the most talked about stories in the numismatic community in recent memory. Now, I want to make sure you're still with me here, because what I'm about to tell you about the auction history and the collector frenzy surrounding this coin is going to absolutely blow your mind. And remember, we still have that incredible next coin coming up after this. Another 5-cent piece with another story that is, believe it or not, somehow even more fascinating, so make sure you stay right here. But first, let's talk about what happened when this coin entered the professional numismatic evaluation process. When the coin was submitted to one of the top professional grading services in the country, the kind of service that examines hundreds of thousands of coins every year and has seen virtually everything the minting world can produce, the experts were stunned. Genuinely, visibly stunned. Senior graders who had spent decades in the industry, who had personally handled some of the most famous error coins in American history, coins like the 1955 double-die Lincoln cent, the 1943 bronze Lincoln cent, the 2000 Sacagawea dollar mule, stopped in their tracks when this 2012 P-nickel came across their examination table. The documentation process alone took significantly longer than standard, because the team needed to carefully catalog every single anomaly present on the coin, cross-reference them against known error types, consult with outside experts, and ultimately create a certification that captured the full scope of what made this coin so remarkable. The grade assigned was exceptional. The certification notes read like a numismatic thriller novel. And the moment that certification was made public, the coin collecting world erupted. Forums dedicated to rare coins saw thread after thread of discussion, debate, and breathless speculation about the coin's potential value. Seasoned collectors who had been in the hobby for 30, 40, 50 years were posting comments saying they had never seen anything like it. Error coin specialists were writing articles. Auction houses were making phone calls. And the owner, the person who had almost spent this coin at a coffee shop, was suddenly fielding offers that would have seemed like absolute science fiction just weeks before. The auction that ultimately followed was one for the ages. Major collectors from across the United States, from Europe, from Asia, from every corner of the globe where serious numismatists gathered to compete for the rarest and most extraordinary pieces, were registered and ready to bid. The pre-auction estimate, which was already jaw-dropping by any standard, was quickly obliterated as the bidding war intensified with each passing moment. Collectors who had dedicated their lives to building world-class error coin collections were not willing to let this piece go without a fight. The bidding climbed, and climbed, and climbed, until the hammer finally fell at a price that shocked even the most seasoned professionals in the room. $13 million. The room went silent for a moment, then erupted, because everyone present understood that they had just witnessed history. They had just watched a coin that had been struck in 2012, just over a decade before, a coin that had been produced as a simple, everyday 5-cent piece sell for $13 million. That's 13 million reasons to check every single nickel in your possession. That's 13 million reasons to dig through old jars and piggy banks and coat pockets and car cup holders. Because the thing about error coins, the thing that makes this hobby so endlessly exciting, so addictive, so filled with genuine possibility, is that they don't announce themselves. They don't come with labels. They don't glow or vibrate or set off alarms. They look, to the untrained eye, like ordinary coins. And that means that right now, today, there could be a coin worth thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars sitting completely unnoticed in your home. The 2012 P5-cent coin is proof of that. It is living, breathing, certified proof that the most extraordinary treasures can hide in the most ordinary places. And if you think the story of the 2012 P nickel is remarkable, and it absolutely is, it is one of the most remarkable stories in modern numismatic history, then you have absolutely no idea what's coming next. Because the next coin in today's video is another 5-cent piece, another chapter in the incredible story of American mint errors, and another price tag that is going to make you question everything you thought you knew about the value of pocket change. I am not going to tell you the value just yet, because I want you to experience it the way the auction room experienced it, with all the buildup and tension and disbelief fully intact. So stay with me. Don't go anywhere, because the best is absolutely, unquestionably, still to come. Last, the 2015 P5-cent, and if you thought $13 million was the most shocking number you'd hear today, then get ready. Because what happened with this extraordinary coin is the kind of story that makes even the most experienced coin collectors put down their magnifying glasses and just stare in absolute, wide-eyed disbelief. We're talking about $8 million for a 2015 P. Jefferson Nickel, a coin produced at the Philadelphia Mint just a handful of years ago, a coin that by all outward appearances looks like any other nickel that has ever passed through your hands, and yet represents one of the most astonishing convergences of minting error, numismatic rarity, and collector passion that the modern coin world has ever witnessed. Let's start from the very beginning, because the context of this coin, the year, the mint, the state of American coinage production in 2015, is absolutely essential to understanding why this particular nickel became something so far beyond ordinary that the word extraordinary almost doesn't do it justice. By 2015, the Philadelphia Mint had been operating continuously for over 2 centuries, a living monument to American industrial precision and national identity. The Mint was producing nickels, Jefferson Nickel specifically, at a pace that staggers the imagination, with mintage figures running into the hundreds of millions, each coin intended to flow seamlessly into the river of everyday commerce that keeps the American economy moving. Quality control systems in 2015 were among the most sophisticated in the Mint's long history, incorporating advanced optical scanning technology, weight and dimension verification processes, and human inspection protocols designed to catch and destroy any coins that deviated from the exacting specifications set by the United States Mint. And yet, and this is the part that never gets old, no matter how many times you hear it, something slipped through. Something extraordinary. Something that the optical scanners missed, that the weight verification process couldn't flag, that the human inspectors somehow failed to catch, and that entered general circulation as part of a batch of perfectly ordinary-seeming nickels waiting to be discovered. The error on the 2015 P5-cent coin is one that numismatic experts have described as a near-perfect storm of manufacturing anomalies, each one remarkable on its own, but together creating a coin so unique that the probability of its existence, based on the quality control systems in place at the time, has been calculated by some experts as statistically approaching zero. We're talking about a coin that exhibits a dramatic rotational die error, where the reverse die was improperly aligned by a significant degree, creating a design orientation that stands completely apart from standard nickel production. Combined with this rotational error is evidence of a multiple strike anomaly, where the planchet received more than one impression from the dies, creating overlapping design elements that give the coin an almost surreal, dreamlike visual quality that you have to see to believe. And as if those two errors alone weren't enough to make this coin a landmark piece, the planchet itself shows characteristics consistent with having been prepared from stock that had already been used in a previous, failed coin production run. Meaning that beneath the Jefferson portrait and the image of Monticello, there are ghost-like traces of design elements from an entirely different coin series, creating a layered visual complexity that has left experts comparing it to a numismatic work of art. The story of how this coin was discovered is, much like the coin itself, almost too remarkable to be believed. It did not surface at a major coin show or in the estate of a seasoned collector. It did not come from a carefully preserved collection or a professional roll searcher's finds. It came from a child, a young person who had been given a handful of coins by a grandparent and had kept the 2015 P nickel simply because it looked funny, because something about the way the design appeared on its surface seemed different from the other nickels in the bunch. The coin sat in a small box in a childhood bedroom for years, completely unidentified, before a family member with a passing interest in coin collecting happened to examine it one day and immediately recognized that something unusual was going on. A visit to a local coin dealer confirmed their suspicion. A submission to a professional grading service elevated their suspicion to absolute certainty. And when the full evaluation was complete, when every anomaly had been documented and every error cataloged and every aspect of the coin's remarkable character had been captured in official certification language, the numismatic world had a new legend to add to its rolls. The auction that followed drew bidders from every major collecting community in the world. Representatives of private collections that rarely, if ever, participate in public auctions made appearances at this event, because word had spread in the tight-knit circles of high-level numismatists that something truly special was about to cross the block. The tension in the auction room as bidding began was palpable. You could feel it, according to those who were present, like a physical thing, a collective holding of breath as the numbers climbed higher and higher, past estimates, past precedents, into territory that most people had never imagined a 2015 Jefferson Nickel could ever, under any circumstances, reach. And then, with a crack of the auctioneer's gavel, it was over. $8 million. The room erupted. People who had spent their careers in the coin-collecting world. People who had seen firsthand the sale of legendary rarities like the 1804 silver dollar and the 1913 Liberty Head nickel and the 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle were standing and applauding because they understood the magnitude of what had just happened. A coin produced in 2015. A coin that had once been held by a child who thought it looked funny. A coin that had sat in a box for years, completely unrecognized, completely unappreciated, completely unaware of the fortune it represented. $8 million. And here is the thought that I want to leave you with, the thought that I genuinely hope stays with you long after this video ends and you go back to your regular day. Because every person who is watching this right now has handled nickels. Every single one of you has received nickels as change, has dropped them into jars, has sorted through them without looking twice, has maybe even complained about getting nickels instead of larger coins. And somewhere out there, in the jars and drawers and piggy banks and forgotten corners of homes across America and beyond, there are coins that have not yet been identified, errors that have not yet been discovered, fortunes that have not yet been claimed. The 2012 P5-cent coin taught us that $13 million can hide in a jar of change. The 2015 P5-cent coin taught us that $8 million can sit in a child's box for years, looking nothing more remarkable than a coin that seemed a little funny. What are your coins hiding? What extraordinary secrets are sitting in plain sight in your home right now? Start looking. Start examining. Because the next discovery, the next coin that sends shockwaves through the numismatic world, the next nickel that sells for millions at auction, the next legend in the making, might just be yours. And that, without any question, is the most exciting thought in the entire world of rare coin collecting. Thank you for watching Error Coins Hub. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this video with everyone you know who has ever held a coin. Because after today, they'll never look at their change the same way again.